Yo. It's Grapsody with Will, Phil, and Reg, trying to keep it real instead of what you usually get from these talking heads. It's Grapsody, we're here to fill the void. 3 black fans, different perspective, gotta fill your voice. Coming with the podcast, talking majors, indies in between. Yeah, it's all that, and we're down with Fightful, better fall back. Coming for respect, we connect like a ball bat. No need to double check, these are all facts. You're listening to what's talk raps. You're listening to what's talk graps. Will, Phil, and Reg. Yeah, we're Grapsody, here to talk graps. Yeah, we're Grapsody, here to talk graps.
It is Saturday, November 6th, 2021, and this is Grapsody, and and remember, set your clocks back, or bring ahead, fall behind. So set them back, yes, tonight, because daylight savings is over for those in the U.S. It ended a little while ago for people in the UK, and I know that because I just had to do a podcast last week, and we were definitely not on the same time. But hey, folks, I'm Will Washington. I'm a member of this little trio you see here, but also here we've got Mr. Philip Lindsey.
I'm here. I feel like if you guys have been waiting for the guy out of the 3 of us to go the most Hollywood, it is me. It has been me all along. I've been waiting for us to get our numbers up. I've been waiting for us to get a little bit of clout just to claim fame off of it. And I'm here to tell you we are famous now.
Congratulations. Thank you.
Wow.
Yeah. And Righteous Reg is also here.
Yeah, what's up? I did not know we were famous now. It's my whole perspective has changed on this podcast. It's over for y'all, as they say. So shout out to y'all. Yo, it's Righteous Reg. We out here. Grapsody, best in the world. What you want from us? You about to get it.
Yes. And this, as promised last week, is our first ever Ask Grapsody edition of the show. Because we had asked for questions, and last week we ran out of time, and it was just one of those things where I wanted to get to the questions. So I wanted to spend today's episode on those questions because there's a lot to answer. This is going to kind of be a show where, as the 3 of us have been kind of doing our thing for a really long time, Reg has, he did the Black Wrestling's podcast. I say back in the day, but it really wasn't that long ago.
Feels like forever ago.
I guess relatively. I hosted RBR Weekly Wrestling Talk for 16 years, and then of course Reg has been writing for Pro Wrestling Insider, Pro Wrestling Illustrated. Yes, for writing for because you say PWI and then
What's up? Check it out. That's brand new. Hot off the presses. Women's 150 best in the world. Get you one. I got an article about jazz in there. The Righteous wrap up. It's great. Get you one.
Yeah. So and then of course Philip Lindsey has been pretty much writing all the high-profile places you can ask, and currently writing for Bleacher Report. Famously had an article in Complex that's been it's funny too because we talked about that just like I want to say just like 2 weeks ago. We were talking about it, but like putting it over as like, man, what an accomplishment.
Right.
And then like 3 days later it becomes fell into the hands of some trolls and became some nonsense.
I will slide in for a second because Will did give me my credit here. But again, I am now the most big-headed member of our trio.
Let's go.
I have to put myself over here and say, I have written for most of the wrestling sites that some of you folks that want clout want to write for.
Ooh.
I have been on most of the podcasts today that, some of you guys want to be on.
Pew pew.
People keep mentioning my name.
This man sounded like Eddie Kingston last night.
Let's go, baby.
People keep mentioning my name to try to get clout off of me. People keep trying to get me to come here and, throw dirt on my character to, raise their profile on this Twitter app. But it will not work. It will not work. Do the work first. I have already done the work. And thus, I am the most famous member of this trio.
Let's go, baby. Let's go, baby.
I will say this.
Energy.
So, where I was going with this is that this is going to kind of be an episode that while all of us have our profiles kind of elsewhere and people have gotten to know us over the last 3 weeks, I feel like this is going to kind of be a get to know the three of us kind of episode because, again, we're leaving the questions to you guys using the hashtag #AskGrapsody. And, but of course, throughout the show, we also want your messages and your chats. And I've been staring at the chat this whole time, and I want to make sure I get to everybody because we got a few super chats to read. Jay Shell, and hey, Jay Shell, congratulations!
Congrats,
first,
Body
congrats,
Slam. Let's
Miss
go,
Body
baby.
Slam. Yep. Jay Shell says, "Hi guys, hope y'all had a great week. I know you had a great week. Love seeing y'all on here. Just getting through a life-changing week myself. Looking forward to a great show. Shout out to Jay Shell. Congratulations."
Shell.
And
All the Body Slam homies. There's a bunch of them. Shout out to
Yeah.
everybody over there.
And then we also got Rob Reed. He said, "Allow me to spend my money to show how much I hate you guys." That's how it's done.
Oh no!
That's a great
started.
dig.
Do
That's a
not
real great
get
dig.
him started.
Do not get
Spend your money,
started.
man. Spend your money on the things you hate, people. That's the only way that you can keep them going.
And then also Ryan, he says, "I'm here for the We Were Right About Bearcat segment."
yeah,
I spent about 20 minutes before the show trying to just pull the clips from last week. And then I looked at the time and was like, "Oh, there's not enough time for that." But I literally have them like ready because I was going to do it. And then Drew, hashtag Hollywood
The
Phil.
most Hollywood.
Hollywood.
D'Lo Diggs, King Wood's new theme is an absolute banger. Yep. I mean, it is so great that the circle of rappers around pro wrestling have made a presence and did it really on their own. They all really just kind of started doing their thing and got themselves noticed, whether it's Montezzi, who he was just he did the songs. He had the Heart of a Champion with Roman Reigns song that he did, and he was just putting out songs about wrestlers, and eventually now he's got songs on TV, right? And then you had Wrestling Flow, and that was one of those things where it kind of started independently, and Josiah eventually just got picked up. And, Mega Ran's been around for a long time, but all of a sudden now, he's got music in pro wrestling. And it's just great seeing all these guys win, and great to see wrestling acknowledging them back and giving them the space to make music in pro wrestling. That's great. And then, of course, Wale, I mean, he's a superstar anyway, but the fact is he's also a wrestling fan, and his music gets to be in pro wrestling too. Like, this is a great time for rappers in pro wrestling.
They got West Side Gun got to get a theme, man. What is happening here? How does Gun not have a theme out here?
Well, especially now that Greg Hamilton's
right. Come on.
Gotta happen
Greg
now,
Hamilton.
man. Yeah, shout out to Mega Ran, man. I'm glad that he got to do the Woods theme because the Kofi theme never came out.
Yeah,
and I have been, long campaigning for them to put that theme out, but doesn't seem like it's gonna happen.
This is just like the perfect combination of wrestler and rapper right here. This is just like, yeah, of course. It just like fits like a glove. Shout out to Mega Ran. It's amazing.
Yep. And also a shout out to Dark Saturday, who said, "Good morning to the hottest new podcast in wrestling in every sense of the word." Thank you. Says, "Just wanted to ask your thoughts on Joe Gacy and NXT. Have a lovely day."
I'll let Phil take this one for sure.
Joe Gacy, you say? Listen, this Joe Gacy thing is incredibly lame. There's no way getting around it. This is a lame gimmick. It is a way to poke fun at all of these buzzwords that he comes out and says every week. I know people think that maybe it's him trying to mockingly talk about fake woke people, but it is not. It is a total mockery of real life issues. Using words like woke and triggered, inclusivity, privileged, and trivializing real life issues. I don't like it in any way, and I wish it would get off my television. Like, just come on, just take it off of NXT. It is not good. Stop.
There you go. This guy was CZW World Champ, man. Bring that back. Give him some barbed wire.
Hey, and exactly. This isn't a knock at Joe Gacy. I think Joe Gacy is great.
He's a great
but
talent.
The gimmick, it's a dud. Get rid of it.
Right.
And shout out to Jay Shell with the super chat again. This pod is the definition of rooting for everyone black, and I love it so much. Thank you guys for the congrats and the support. Means so much.
We are rooting for everyone black, unless they're
Straight
not rooting
up.
for us.
Yeah,
The game is the game, baby. The game is the game.
I actually, I had a response to somebody recently. We were talking about support in the black wrestling community and how I do really in this space want to see everybody win. No questions. I want to see everybody win.
No,
And I put that it's not that it comes with caveats, but there's definitely just a couple of things I won't necessarily stand for. And one of them I said in this statement that I was talking to this particular person about was not doing shiesty shit. Like, honestly, it's not to say that, obviously everybody's got their skeletons, I'm sure, right? But at the end of the day, like, if you're doing shady shit, and then on the other end, like, that's, I don't care who you are, you're gonna get called on that kind of shit, and so that to me is like my main caveat is that look, man, we're good. I want to see everybody black.
We are
win,
not about that crazy life.
But
we are, though. If you want it to be, that's it. Simple as that. We're not about it, but if you want to be about it, we about it.
Listen, I am mostly joking.
Oh my God, that match makes my heart flutter. Lio Rush and Matt Sydal Lio Rush and Dante Martin against Matt Sydal and Lee Moriarty. I just want to live in it.
Listen,
let me referee the match, Tony Khan. I just want to see it up close.
Hey, congrats, Jay Shell, on the article.
Yeah, straight up.
Listen, I am mostly joking. I am rooting for all black people to win out here, even if they have actively rooted against me.
Straight up.
I don't want anybody to fail. I'm not rooting for anybody to fail, but I'm not going to act like I like everybody. I'm not.
Yeah. No. Yeah.
But anyway, so this is the Ask Grapsody episode, and we put out the tweet, and because we want to hear from folks and know what they want to know from us, and so I am in the process of retrieving the tweet.
The tweeter,
because I want to dig into some questions.
Yeah,
and
what y'all want to know? Who's your top 100 favorite black wrestlers that aren't signed to? Yo, all right, relax, you guys.
Hey, there's been something you've been forgetting every week, so I feel like we should do it like right off the top.
Definitely. Beginning, let's just start with that. Today we are going to start the official Black Wrestling's 500 Wrestler of the Week. I had this guy's name written down. I did a random number generator a few weeks ago, and we just never got around to it just because we be cooking. So today was number 79. It's great. I love this. His name is Christian Robinson. He's a psychonaut. He a skater. He just has like this swag of like how there's all these like new rappers is like how I compare it to these new rappers that have their own swag. They don't care about what the previous generation was about. They're doing their own new thing. That's how this guy wrestles. That's how he gets down. Christian Robinson. He wrestles in a bunch of wrestling companies that you can see. Paradigm Pro Wrestling, SHP Presents Wrestling. Like, just look him up. Christian Robinson, a great talent, number 79 in the Black Wrestling's 500. Black Wrestling's Wrestler of the Week. Christian Robinson. Shout out to that kid.
Fellow member of Lock Gang.
Yeah.
With the Locks Wrestling.
They gonna think I'm doing it on purpose, but it's just Locks out here all the time, bro. What you want?
Great high flyer. Follow that man. I believe his Twitter is KRIST610. Go follow that man. Great wrestler.
Yes.
And hey, we got Jester Designs. So I can't wait for the War Goddess to make an impact after her no compete. Also, STP becomes more limitless. there's a lot that can suddenly happen with everything that's gone down this week, and we are going to be talking about the releases here in just a little bit.
Of course.
Because I just saw a great question I wanted to get to, and we'll start with Jay Shell's question. She says, thoughts on the Inner Circle America Top Team feud with rolling eye emojis. So we can already tell what you think of it. Okay. I will start with the pluses. Scorpio Sky is getting on TV and is,
big plus.
I think, going to win the TNT title. I am
Huge plus.
almost confident that that's where this is ending. I believe that the victory that Sammy scored over Ethan Page was to give him one victory over American Top Team in Men of the Year, because you don't want him to lose the first one, but ultimately he has to lose. But I think, you know, they had been teasing that Scorpio and him are the that's ultimately the main confrontation, and I think that's what Scorpio's going to win. That is the plus here. I'll give it another plus. It gets heat. There's a lot of heat that these segments get. There's probably the loudest reactions of the night.
Right.
Big plus there. On the negative side.
Wait, hold on. Let me give one plus also.
Okay.
I like the use of the MMA guys. If you've been watching MMA for a long time, like seeing Andre Arlovsky and Junior Dos Santos in a wrestling ring having fun is fun. That's it.
Okay. So, on the negative side. Okay, Chris Jericho. We'll start there.
Big sigh.
You know, I did a search through my tweets of the word Jericho just to see what my Chris Jericho takes have been over the last few months. And I was really hot. It's weird because I'm blocked by Jericho. And the reason I did the search was because I was like trying to remember.
Jericho, baby, blocked by Jericho.
I was trying to figure out what I said, because I remember that, like, I don't tag wrestlers unless it's just in something like positive, but I don't like tagging wrestlers really. If I have like negative takes, right? So I was trying to like figure out what was it that I said, and in it I realized like I've definitely name dropped Jericho a bunch, but like in the last few months I actually had some praise for his babyface work, because for those that for those who haven't followed me, I have been a huge fan of did I say fan? I meant not a huge fan of Chris Jericho as a babyface. I hated WWE Chris Jericho as a babyface. I feel like there's only one time it actually worked for me, and that was toward the end with the list. But otherwise, I was not a fan of Shut the Hell Up Chris Jericho. Like in 2000, he was my least favorite babyface.
Shut the hell up, Jericho.
Like
That's funny.
I was not a fan of, like, I feel like he was just repeated catchphrases and shtick, but not in a way that was like fun, like The Rock. He was just the shtick. And like you could only call Stephanie a bottom feeding trash bag hoe like so many times before like it got old. I was not a fan of babyface Jericho. Like I said, the only time that babyface Chris Jericho worked for me was really like the list stuff, right? And so, but I've always felt he was functional as a heel. And so I had said that in the MJF feud, I did think he was doing what I called his best babyface work. In that I felt like, hey, he's doing stuff that's not just catchphrases. There seems to be a little bit of depth to him. And I don't mind what he's doing. But I will say that since the MJF feud, it's kind of fallen off. And that he is relying on crutches now. He is kind of just relying on some, I don't know, low-hanging fruit and homophobia. And, like, it sucks. It's not for me. And so that part's not working for me. The other part that's not working for me is I actually don't mind Dan Lambert in a way that a lot of people do. Like, because I was there in Miami the night Dan Lambert debuted, and I knew exactly what they were going for. I was like, oh, it's Jim Cornette, right? Like, you're bringing it essentially this character on screen.
Yeah.
And I'm not necessarily one of those people that believes that there should be a limit to things that belong in pro wrestling, simply because I I like pro wrestling when it is an extension of real life stuff. I loved everything that was going on with CM Punk and Eddie Kingston last night. I love when pro wrestling can kind of blur those lines but still be pro wrestling. Like the second that pro wrestling stops doing that, because that's the thing I hate about some work shoots, right? That once you start to weave in that pro wrestling's fake, then it's like, well, what are you doing now? You're kind of screwing your own stuff. But if you can somehow weave real life into pro wrestling, it works. And what I liked about Dan Lambert initially is that while I don't necessarily agree with anything that's being said, it is stuff that's being said. And so I feel like you can make that work. That said, it's gotten stale. And it was kind of a one-trick pony.
It's too much, man. It's classic Inner Circle. I don't know what it is about the Inner Circle. I know what it is. It's ratings, but every single TV show they produce has to have an Inner Circle segment, it seems like. I went through and grabbed all the screen grabs of like, Inner Circle next week is going to have a birthday party. Inner Circle the week after that is going to talk in the ring. Inner Circle after that week is going to have a champagne party. It's like every single segment, every single show, they have to have an Inner Circle segment, and it's getting annoying because it's just Chris Jericho, and it's like, all right.
You know, the weird part is that when Santana and Ortiz came out a few weeks ago, they were like, the Inner Circle's back, the Inner Circle's back together, and I thought,
when did they break
like,
up?
at most, they maybe had been together in like a month.
Right.
And
this is nothing to celebrate. We want Santana and Ortiz away from them, so far away from them.
Yeah, because it felt like with Santana and Ortiz, like they won the FTR feud, but FTR are the number one contenders.
Right.
And like, I don't mind because I actually really do like FTR. But
they're doing some great stuff right now.
They're doing some great stuff, and they're gonna lose. And I'm genuinely a fan of the idea that there's been an argument for years who's the best tag team in the world, the Young Bucks or FTR, and the Lucha Bros will have beaten both. And so to me, that's like...
That's cool.
Yeah, that's actually a cool story to tell because that makes the Lucha Bros the best tag team in the world. But that said, I would have... I guess if the longer term plan is Santana and Ortiz, that's what I'd rather see. And hey, Terrence, thanks for the super chat. What up, brothers? I am mad at the WWE right now, so I am interested in your thoughts on how the black scene in AEW is about to possibly change. Well, first off, Phil, your thoughts on American Top Team?
I don't like it. I'm just going to throw that out there. I don't like it. I don't like the Lambert stuff. I haven't really liked it since the beginning. I feel like him coming out and yelling at us is just not entertaining television. And that's not to say that he's a bad promo. He's actually a pretty good promo. I just don't like the content of the promo. I feel like it's very dated. And I get the way it's supposed to get heat, but I just don't think that it works in the intended fashion. I just don't think Inner Circle is entertaining anymore. I feel like it's run its course. I think it's time to break them up. I think they should have broken up in the Pinnacle feud. I don't know why.
What happened there?
I don't know why.
They had the stip and they won. Why?
Exactly. I don't know why they went over to Pinnacle. Pinnacle now basically doesn't exist.
Right.
But then it does. But they have not been seen as all five in a long time. But
exactly.
But all of a sudden,
weird.
I feel like the thing keeping the Pinnacle alive, honestly.
Yeah,
it's Tony Schiavone. Like Tony Schiavone brings them up as a group all the time, right? It's as if like he's like, no, this is still a thing, and you guys need to know it. Where like the FTR will be making their entrance, and it's like FTR of the Pinnacle. But like, because honestly, like right, because Tony Schiavone, like, right, his character is supposed to, like, really hate MJF, right? So, like, anybody who's, like, remotely tied to the idea of the Pinnacle, and Tony Schiavone's just like, ugh, FTR, here they are, those Pinnacle guys. And it's like, when is the last time they've, like, been seen as the group? It hasn't been at all. They have been seen more with Andrade than anything.
Right. I just don't. Because I think that's the big problem with this feud, because we're supposed to root for the Inner Circle here, but the Inner Circle are just not entertaining as a whole as baby faces. Sammy's a great face.
Yes.
Santana and Ortiz, also great faces. But Hager and Jericho, not so great faces.
No. I don't want to cheer for them.
I just have no interest in rooting for Jericho. I think that his babyface character is stale,
Right.
and his real life stuff makes me not want to root for him. And I felt that way since they turned him face. I feel like you can't have him as visible on the internet doing certain things. By the way, I'm the second member of this podcast that's also blocked by Jericho. So that's 2 out of 3.
Blocked by Jericho, baby.
Yeah, so I he just I just don't think that he's a likable guy in on the internet and in some of the stuff that he's doing, and I think that rubs off on his babyface character. I just don't want to root for the guy, and I felt the same way during the MJF feud. Like, I feel like MJF should have beat him. I don't know why he went over MJF. I don't know, and so I have the same feeling here. Now, I do agree with Will. All of the Man of the Year stuff is great. The Man of the Year stuff is the saving grace of this feud. And I feel like after this feud, I want the two of them to get away from these two stables and just do their own thing.
Yep. And shout out to Kate. She says Inner Circle is holding back its individual members now.
Yes, it is. Absolutely.
Because AEW's big reliance on factions is, of course, that it gets multiple people on TV at once. Like, that was the whole purpose of the Hardy Family Office, right? Is that we've got Private Party, we've got Matt Hardy, we've got the Butcher and the Blade, we got the Bunny, and it's like, hey, if we put them in a faction, then all of a sudden we got all of these guys on TV at once. And so, like, I get it for the Inner Circle, but at the same time, like, do something else.
It's run its course. I feel like the point of stables is to get all of these individual guys over, and it has succeeded in getting Sammy over. It succeeded in getting Santana and Ortiz over. So it doesn't need to exist anymore.
Right. It did it.
Yeah, Jay Shell, Mr. Maga needs to retire. Free Santana and Ortiz. And you know what's funny is Chris Jericho's one of those guys who likes to say, I don't have any political leanings. And when somebody says that, they're a Trump supporter. And that's... it's one of those, like, you know what I mean? Well, so kind of, because I will say this, and this goes hand in hand with something I've been wanting to talk about for weeks. Because, people talk about being unbiased in pro wrestling, right? And loyalty to professional wrestling companies. And there's a lesson I got from my dad that's always really stuck with me. So my dad is a former Republican. I didn't know this till so in the state of Colorado, all of your voting records are public, and so all of it, like everything. So I learned that, right? And when I had this conversation with my dad, it went back to something he had kind of taught me when I was a kid, which is what he said. You don't owe any of these parties or companies or anything your allegiance. You decide on your ideals, and you let your ideals decide your party. Do not let your party decide your ideals. And I thought, okay, I get that. I can see that because my dad has his views, right? And he feels like he's going to stick to his views, and he's going to place his vote based on who or what appeals to his views. He's not going to necessarily let his views be dictated. So with all of that said, when it comes to professional wrestling companies, I feel that same way. So when people say to me like, oh, Will, you're a huge AEW fan. And it's like, I like what AEW is doing, if that's what you mean. Or like, Will, you hate WWE. I don't hate WWE. I don't necessarily like WWE's operations a lot of times. Because here's the thing. I've been watching pro wrestling a really long time, my entire life. I was born into pro wrestling fandom. My dad was a pro wrestling fan. My brothers, everybody in my household was a pro wrestling fan growing up. I figured out what I liked at a young age. And so basically the things I like, I stick with. And if you're doing the kinds of things I like, shout out to you. I'm going to continue to support it. It has nothing to do with the initials of your company or who you are as a company. If you're doing the kind of shit I like, here's the thing: I like wins and losses that matter. I like. It turns out it wasn't something that was really introduced to pro wrestling until recently, but I'm a sports fan, so I actually like rankings and win-loss records because I like systems to help determine things. I'm not a big fan of... it's not that I don't like promos, because I do like promos. I don't necessarily like the idea of angles being necessary to continue the storytelling of pro wrestling. I like stories told in the ring. I am a big in-ring guy, so when a product is focused on in-ring, that appeals to me. And I recognize that doesn't appeal to everybody, so that's why I say that what's for you isn't necessarily what's for me, and what's for me doesn't have to be what's for you. But the thing is, I like what I like. The reason that I like AEW at the moment is simply because they're doing shit I like. But if AEW suddenly decided that we want to be a promo heavy show, we want to tone down the wrestling, and we want to just do nonsense, then there's gonna come a point where I'd be like, nah, this is crap. Yeah. I don't want this. Because at the end of the day, it's not about any allegiance or loyalty to a company. And like Phil says, support wrestlers, not wrestling companies. Right. The reason that I still follow WWE is ultimately because as much as they don't do a lot of what I like as a pro wrestling company, they have a lot of pro wrestlers that I like. Right. And they have a lot of pro wrestlers that I support. And so in that sense, I would continue to watch that product. But ultimately, I have no loyalty to any company. I just want pro wrestling that I like.
Exactly.
And so back to my dad's lesson, it is, except we'll remove political parties, and it's just figure out what you like and stick to what you like. Don't let companies tell you what you like, and don't let companies tell you what you don't like. That's it. If you come off, and that's basically it. If you want to call us shills or whatever it is, knock yourself out. But to me, I like what I feel is good, and I'm not going to sit and pretend that shit I don't like is. And that's it for me.
Simple as that.
Yeah. Hey. And we got a couple of responses. Ryan said, Will said, my dad is a former Republican, like he was telling us he blew up the school. Like, not a comment on the topic, just the delivery. I mean, like I said, well, if you knew who my mom was, I think that's why it was such a shocker to me, because my mom is I could spend all day talking about my mom. But it's like, and then you ask my dad, and all of a sudden it's like, wait, what? That doesn't make any sense. That doesn't make any sense at all. But either way, he had some good lessons. And I say had as if he's not here, but my dad lives around the corner from me, so I could literally go say hi to him right now.
Right.
Hey, Skywalker Club threw us a super chat. Thank you. I will be honest, I like the Jericho stuff, but Danielson is my favorite wrestler. Maybe it's a mix because grew up with Shawn Michaels, my favorite still.
The greatest pro wrestler of our generation, Bryan Danielson. No one's better.
So
listen, we're not here to convince you to not like Jericho. I just don't like the Jericho stuff.
Yeah,
I enjoyed it when he was first there. I enjoyed the heel stuff. I liked a little bit of the bubbly stuff, but I just haven't been enjoying him as a babyface. That's all.
So, being that I'm doing a podcast right now, apparently there's some stuff going on with Lindsey Dorado, because it's been brought up in Super Chats a couple of times.
Oh, man. He's talking that talk, man.
Are you seeing Lindsey on Twitter right now? And we also had another Super Chat.
I love that Lindsey energy. That same energy Dana Brooks' boyfriend pulled up on a troll.
Yeah.
Like, look, y'all troll. Y'all got to stop trolling.
Rob said,
it ain't no more time about that.
So I know you'll talk about the releases, but specifically wanted your reaction to the Lindsey Dorado thing. Have I missed some stuff today?
Apparently, a certain super fan's dad said something about Lindsey Dorado. And
I remember that. I saw that.
Yeah, Lindsey caught wind of it. He tweeted something in response to it that was basically, "Meet me at this time. I'm not about the games."
Lindsey said, "I'm off at 4. Pull up. Here's my address."
And then I saw his apology.
He just said a few minutes ago he didn't see an apology. He never got sent an apology. To him, it's still meet him at 4. And listen,
what apology, man? Come up at 4 o'clock.
as a guy that was doing a lot of grandstanding last night, I respect the guy that demands an
Straight up.
apology. So
Look.
listen, when you're wrong, run your apology. That's all I have
And
to
I
say
don't
about
want a
that.
little notes app typed up apology.
No.
Run
We don't want no
mine.
tap.
Yeah,
Apologize like a man.
Yes.
Yeah. And so yeah, I as far as my thoughts on all of that are concerned, I have thoughts on the thoughts. In that I think I think that like obviously Lindsey is like way in the right, and because obviously this all goes back to Lindsey had an initial opinion on Izzy training, and he had posted that, and so this has like been a back and forth for years. I'll just say this, guys, leave Izzy out of it. She's a kid, and I don't. I guess as a dad, I am not a big fan of like any negative takes on kids, because they're just that, they're kids, and they're kids who are on their own, essentially doing no harm. Go at the dad all you want, but leave kids out of it. That's how I always feel about I agree. Kids and stuff. Let's see. We got another super chat. This one is from Marco. Actually, Kate giving the same point, although I misclicked. But thank you, Kate. But I was going to go for Marco, who said, we're definitely here because we like what we like. I like Grapsody. Here's my money. Also, celebratory mention of Okada versus Buddy Matthews. Same night as Full Gear. Pro
What
Wrestling.
now?
Let's fucking go.
What had happened? What? Since when?
Big Bud. Big Bud.
What?
Throwing knees at Okada. That's what happened.
You guys know where that's at, right? That's in San Jose. I get to watch that live. Wow, lucky me.
Area.
Wow. Thank you.
This is
Thank
going to
you,
be
wrestling gods.
Next week is going to be a really interesting week, right? Because there's a lot going on. I actually won't be on the show next week because I will be traveling to Houston for Paul Griffin's wedding, and I'm going to be seeing a number of wrestling adjacent people in Houston. So I will be traveling for that. But then you'll still see me a lot next week because I'll be on a number of podcasts, one of which hasn't been announced, so I won't mention that one. I will be hosting here on Fightful the Full Gear post show. And then has the other one been announced yet? I don't think that one's been announced yet either. I'll leave it to them to announce that one. So either way, I know I've got like 3 podcasts I'll be doing this week. So I'll be around, but I won't be here on Grapsody next week.
We are still out here, though.
Yes, these two are still.
Have no fear. The star of the show is still here.
And let's make a little breaking announcement. The gang is getting back together next week. Our boy Andrew Thompson is going to be here, and we're just going to do what we do best.
I don't get to be on that show.
Yeah,
I would have loved to host with Andrew. That would have been great. But yeah, I'll actually. My plane will be landing like 12 minutes before the show even like is supposed to start, and I'm like, I'm not even gonna make that a hassle of between trying to get my rental car. Oh shit, I haven't booked my rental car. And totally forgot I haven't done that. But because I'm gonna be around, I'm hitting like Galveston and all of that. And hey, if you've got ideas, this is actually my first time in Houston, so
that's what's up.
Let me know what I should be checking out and what I should be seeing and doing for my 3 days in Houston.
Right. Watch out for double cups. Last time I was in Texas, my Uber driver he had the double cup while he was driving us. So just like beware. And like it's Texas, so everybody got guns. That's the only thing about Texas. Everybody strapped up, no matter what.
Last time I was in Texas was for it was for the Royal Rumble in 2017. That was the last time I'd been to Texas. Mm-hmm. And so that was San Antonio. And I remember I saw just this big confrontation between a couple people. And I was like, nah, these niggas got guns, man.
Straight up.
Like, I don't want to see where this ends up. So I am headed in the other direction.
Right.
But like these dudes just started like shouting at each other. And this was 2017, so it was like right after Trump was elected, and it was like a big screaming match between these guys, because like tensions were high, and I'm like, I want
nothing
nothing to do with that.
To stay on brand. That I'm a big Lupe fan. The last time I was in Houston, it was to go see Lupe. A friend of mine is also a huge Lupe fan, and she had never seen him live, and so. I was like, we got to go. And so we went to Houston to see him. And the funny story, we were in line waiting to get in, and we actually met Lupe. So I met Lupe in Houston, and it was a thing.
That's hard. I've never seen Lupe live, so
yeah,
Lupe,
I haven't either.
Damn. Come on, Lupe.
And he was here in Colorado not that long
he's
ago.
always in San Francisco.
Yeah,
I've seen him live several times just because he's from my hometown. How could I have not seen him live?
Right. All right, so we're going to take some of the questions off of Twitter, and we'll start with Adrian Cotton's question. He said, I was thinking about this the other day. Is casual fan, and he put that in quotes, another word for close-minded? Thank you for that tweet. I think casual fan is a thing that doesn't exist.
Yes.
And I think that... I think it's not a thing that doesn't exist. It's a thing that people talk about a lot, about appealing to casual fans, that like everybody wants to talk about this hypothetical casual fan. And I see people who watch wrestling through the lens of the hypothetical casual fan, where they'll see a promo and they'll be like, well, that didn't make any sense to casual fans. And it's like, how do you know that? Are you a casual fan?
Right.
Like, why do you assume that they can't figure that out, that they don't have Google, that they can't look up a reference if it doesn't make any sense, right? So, like, the thing
I just hate when people say that, because anybody that's watching this show is going to get it. No, there aren't any casual fans that are like, oh, no one like randomly looks at, is going channel surfing and sees Raw and like, oh, what is this? No, not anymore. Not in this time. Not in this day and age, man.
I am curious what people want with the quote unquote casual fan, because casual fans aren't how things grow. Fans are how things grow.
Exactly.
Like, period. Because to me, when I think of the term casual fan, I think of somebody who can take or leave a product. That don't necessarily care and aren't necessarily invested in something. And to me, that's not somebody who's going to spend any money on it. And so, I guess there's so much talk about casual fandom, in that, like, there was a thing Cody said a couple of years ago where he was asked, how do you expect AEW to grow with casual fans? And he said, I don't. We're not focused on them. We're focused on hardcore fans. And people were like, well, why would you do that? And I got what he was saying, but a lot of people were arguing it. And that he was kind of using the Marvel adage about how, like, Marvel, and speaking about, we'll leave it just in movies, right? We could get into comics and everything else. But speaking just on movies, Marvel didn't necessarily have to dumb itself down or slow itself down or slow anything down for casual Marvel fans. They kind of just put what they're putting out there for their fan base, chock full of references and things that make people go, oh, that's really cool, and I'm rewarded for watching this thing. And one of two things happens. Casual fans will watch it and take it or leave it, or casual fan watches and wants to be one of those hardcore fans to get those references and becomes one. Because ultimately what you want to create is fans. You don't just want casual fans. You want fans, period. You want people to care about your product. I feel like wrestling was at its strongest to me, not when it had a bunch of people who could take or leave it, but when it had people who cared. When it had... when it was the playground talk or the lunchroom talk, when, I remember walking into school in the 8th grade and literally everybody was like, who do you think ran down Stone Cold Steve Austin? And it was like a goddamn mystery. And everybody had their theories and we were all talking about it. And like, that to me wasn't casual fandom. That to me was like hardcore fandom. That was everybody wanted to be in on the product. And I feel like that's when things are the coolest. Not when it's a bunch of people who could take or leave it. Not when it's got passive celebrity references or like, and what I mean by that is like, things like the guest host era where it's like, oh, the celebrity's on it, so I'll check it out now. But ultimately, I'm not going to continue watching this product. That to me is not wrestling at its best. Wrestling at its best is when more and more people care. And that's not casual fandom. That's just fandom. And so I would like to see the most fans possible, not just people who can take or leave it. So when I hear the conversation or casual fans, like, what are you talking about? I don't want that. I don't want people who can take or leave the products. I want people who care about the products. And I just want more of that.
Yeah. I don't know if I'm understanding the question correctly. Is casual fan, shorthand for closed-minded fan? I don't think so, because in a sense of, I think there's this idea of what a casual fan is, and that a casual fan only watches to see things that they enjoy. And if they don't enjoy it, then they're cutting it off. Right. But I think, like Will said, you're not going to get any fans to watch if you're not providing them, pro wrestling at its most potent.
Right.
And I feel like trying to, give them a watered down version of wrestling and thinking that that's going to bring in casual fans, it just doesn't work. I mean, think about basketball. If basketball isn't good, if you tune in and you're watching bad basketball, you're not going to keep watching it.
Right.
That works for everything. I mean, it's the same thing. If there is I don't know, if you're an action movie snob, and like, I don't care if it's a incredible action movie with all these explosions, it's a Michael Bay fest, and it's just a bad movie, I'm not gonna watch it.
All right.
So I just feel like if the product is good, whether people watch all the time or not, they're going to watch. And continuing to give them a good product is what's going to keep them watching.
And Misfit says, anytime I have friends over for pay-per-view, I consider them casual fans. They prefer gimmicks like Luchasaurus or God's favorite champion. Yeah, but like, and I suppose if that's a person who can like take or leave it, I just feel like that's if they're not necessarily spending money on it, I'm not necessarily worried about that person per se either.
Right.
Because like I want to see wrestling back at a point, and I don't know if that's ever going to happen, but I would love to see wrestling back at a point where everybody's talking about it, where it's like cool with high school kids. Like I remember when I was, that's like, I feel like it's a weekly occurrence that my alarm goes off on my phone. As I feel like, again, going back to high school, and I remember the I have this like distinct memory of we were walking, all of us walking back from lunch because we had off-campus lunch, and I remember the day, and it was January 7th because of
right after the insurrection.
Because
no.
Sorry, not 2021, but it was in 2002, so 19 years ago. But one dude's like, "Hey, Triple H is coming back tonight," and I'm like, "Yep, Triple H is coming back tonight." Everybody's all excited in this conversation. None of us even knew we were wrestling fans. I remember, like, I didn't even know this dude was a wrestling fan. But then he brings up, "Hey, Triple H is coming back tonight," and then somebody else brings it up, and we're like, "Oh shit, this is gonna be the night. This is the night that he's back." And like, it was like an exciting time, and that's what I want back. And I don't know how it gets there, but I don't
think it ever will. Honestly, there's just too much. There's not just cable. There's this a
fandom of pretty much everything is so fractured that I don't know either. And really quick, Jose brings up way too early, but it does not look good for Hit Row. Let go B-Fab and had a nothing segment with Sammy. Again, I have it here. We are about to get to release this shortly.
No one is surprised. It's just like Keith Lee. Get out, man. Come on, you guys. You thought they were going to understand a hip-hop gimmick on SmackDown?
But continuing with some of the questions. Okay. We will take it away from pro wrestling, as I felt like this was eventually going to come up. Shout out to Daz with the question and Kaz with the response. Daz asks, Reg and Phil, Mariah Carey, yes or no?
And what do you mean by yes or no? What does
I
that
don't
mean?
think this has come up on this show. So I have to put this out there for those who don't know me because it is officially MC season. I am an obsessive Mariah Carey fan. And I mean obsessive. Like
you have a sweet fantasy right now.
Sweet fantasy. She is the GOAT. There is no wrong she can do in my eyes. I love Mariah Carey, and I have put that out there. It is pretty much like one of my personality traits at this point. And I'm surprised it hasn't come up on this show yet. As a matter of fact, and I don't even think the RBR guys know this, the RBR theme song currently by Montesi contains 2 Mariah Carey references and samples when I made the beat.
Hilarious.
And I think only a few people have caught it. But the... and we've had that, or they've had that theme song about a year now. But there's 2 in there. The line at the end of the theme song, the "Welcome to Fantasy," that's directly from the video Fantasy. But yes, I am an obsessive Mariah Carey fan. As a matter of fact, they're at arm's length. I literally own every Mariah Carey album in existence. The Christmas albums are actually upstairs because it's Christmas time. But I even own glitter. I own fucking glitter. I own them all.
Look, the answer to this is very easy. In 1997, my mouth watered watching a music video. I was a kid. I didn't know about women were women a thing, but like I didn't know that. I was just thirsting over a woman. And her name was Mariah Carey. It was the Honey video. I was thirsting as a child. So Mariah Carey's forever, man. How do you... Come on. Mariah Carey, bro.
So shout out to Hannah, who said MC season. He let me know when it started too.
Hey,
I did. As soon as you put your tree up, I was like, look, Mariah Carey said it's time, so it's time. Okay, here's the thing. I will explain the Mariah Carey fandom.
She fine.
So look, no, honestly, to me, it's music. So this is where it comes about. I will explain my musical taste because I think we've all put out there that we're hip hop heads. You know, Philip has mentioned that he's a big fan of Lupe, and of course, Reg. We had a big talk last week, and it was probably one of my favorite conversations that we've ever had on Bay Area hip hop, which was great.
And then your thing about Flow Rider, don't forget.
So here's the thing. As much as I love hip hop, my one true love in music is R&B. I'm an R&B cat through and through. I feel like no matter what topics continue to change in our culture, love and sex will always, always, always hit the spot. R&B music is forever. Mm-hmm. So I am an R&B dude. I love R&B music. And as a matter of fact, shout out to that new single by Silk Sonic. It's actually really good. And I appreciate Anderson .Paak and Bruno Mars just like trying to keep like old school R&B music alive. Mm-hmm. But you want to appeal to any of my moods, R&B is it for me. So anyway, I grew up watching Video Soul on BET. Donnie Simpson, that was the show in the afternoon, put on Video Soul, and it always got to me. So it was one day in 1995, I was watching Video Soul as always, and I had never heard a Mariah Carey song before. And all of a sudden, Fantasy comes on. And it wasn't just Fantasy, it was Fantasy the Remix featuring ODB. That was the first Mariah Carey song I ever heard. And my first question was, Mom, why is this white woman on BET? And and my mom chimes in. She goes, "She's mixed, honey." And I'm like, oh, "Okay, cool." And so, so I watch Fantasy, and everything about it appeals to me. Everything about the video, the song, I was like, "What is happening here? This is the greatest thing I've ever heard in my life." And then Always Be My Baby came out. Same deal. And the remix with Escape and Brat.
Yeah.
and
Jermaine Dupri.
yeah, Jermaine, like, and then all of a sudden, I'm just a fan. And then it was like every single she kept dropping after that, I became a bigger fan and a bigger fan and a bigger fan. Because as Reg just mentioned in '97, Honey came out, and not just Honey, but the Honey remix with the Bad Boy remix with the Locks and Mace.
Mm-hmm.
Man, they said we don't have lady records. Are they crazy?
Yeah.
When Kiss said that in that verse, I was like, "Come on, bro! He's got the honey record in his tuck."
Yeah, right. And all of a sudden, it was like, I just became this unashamed Mariah Carey fan from about 95 on. From the 3rd grade on, it was just like, she is my favorite artist, and she makes music that I love. And as a fan of R&B music, she continues to make it. She just put out a new single last night called Falling in Love at Christmas Time with Khalid and Kirk Franklin.
Mariah Carey, come on, you can't occupy the whole Christmas music spectrum.
Like, that's the thing, is the things that I love. 2 things I very much love: Christmas music and R&B music. And all of a sudden, we got Falling in Love at Christmas coming out with Khalid, who I love Khalid, right? Like, I think he makes, again, great R&B music. And dude is what? He's only like 23, I think. And I think he is solid. And so him, Mariah Carey, and Kirk Franklin doing a Christmas song, I was like, this is about to hit the spot. I already know I love this. I don't even have to listen to it now, but I did listen to it, and I love it. Anyway, Drew Nicholas says, now we know Why Are You So Obsessed With Me, who was directed at. Yeah, probably me. I'm surprised people didn't catch that I was wearing a Mariah shirt like 3 weeks ago on this show. Literally says Mariah across the top. It was the butterfly shirt. Devil J Cry says, all I want for Christmas is Grapsody. Kimberly says, the Emancipation of Mimi was my soundtrack to college. No shame. Let me tell you, I feel like that album does not get enough credit, right? The Emancipation of Mimi, Collector's Edition, Special Edition. But anyway, Emancipation of Mimi. That came out my senior year of high school. That album was so good. Because again, it is exactly what it was supposed to be, right? It was like Mariah Carey had been doing like kind of ballads and sadder songs for the longest time, and then all of a sudden, Emancipation of Mimi was just like, nah. She is the first song on the album is It's Like That with Fat Man Scoop, and it was like from there on, the album is just fire. And as a matter of fact, it even combined. That album has 2 of my favorite things combined. Because Kanye West did the beat to Stay the Night, and I love Kanye West instrumentals, especially like we're talking early or mid 2000s Kanye West production. Can't be beat. And so there is Stay the Night, which was Mariah Carey and Kanye West. Love that beat. Love that song. Anyway, the question was actually for Phil and Reg, and I just went off on a Mariah Carey tangent. So knowing now how I feel about MC, knowing that I feel that she is the GOAT, how do you guys feel about Mariah Carey?
Well, first of all, I am going to kick down a Christmas tree and deny that it's MC season, because it is November. It is not Christmas time. It is Shirley Caesar season. Beans, greens, potatoes, tomatoes. It's Thanksgiving food season. It is not MC season. I will not stand for this. But as far as the ghost of Christmas past, future, and present, and MC, you have to give her her props, man. She has stayed relevant
forever.
19 number 1 singles.
That's a lot of number 1 singles.
Most of any single artist. Only the Beatles.
She is the queen of hip hop features. I don't know if there's any R&B act that's had better hip hop features throughout their entire career, and has also managed to do some incredible hooks along the way on just about any hip hop artist that you can name.
All right, so who is taking on Mariah in the verses? That's the question. Is it Mary J? No one can compete? No one?
Mary J is the only one I think could, and I think she'd lose. And I love Mary J.
Mariah got a bunch.
The thing. I am an R&B guy. Like, as much as I could have conversations about hip hop, if you want to talk about Keith Sweat, like, I could absolutely talk to me about Johnny Gill. I will absolutely have a conversation about all of that. And yes, I'm a Whitney fan as well. I don't buy into the rivalry, because ultimately, They squashed it. They did a
Right.
song together. They don't need to be compared.
Right.
You know what? I could maybe see Janet.
Yeah.
Janet is one I could absolutely see.
Janet got a bunch.
Yeah.
So,
So-
yeah, that one could work.
That one could. I could see
But
that.
honestly, they both just need to face like Kanye West said on that Nori interview. They just need to face each other in the verses, face themselves in the verses, like Mariah against Mariah, this album against this album, Janet against Janet, this album against this album.
I still haven't watched that Kanye Drink Champs. I've heard he said some wild things on there. If he said what I heard he said.
Yeah, I watched for like 30 minutes before it started getting crazy, and I just was like,
I haven't watched it yet at all.
Yeah, he's out there. He is out there.
And T5 the Great says, I'm about to date myself, but Vision of Love 1990 was when I discovered MC and instantly fell in love. I mean, I have it.
He's like, I have a vision of love, so of course.
So yeah. I don't know. Who knows? I just know that suppose if there's a get to know about Grapsody as far as I'm concerned. Can't go wrong with MC. So Thank you for trying to open that one up. But you know what?
Wedge, trying to drive a wedge, man.
Trying to drive a wedge.
Come on, bro. Come on.
But it didn't happen.
Come on.
Let's see. Jay Shell asked, who do you think could be the first black world champ in AEW? Well, I have an answer now. But Reg looks like it's like on the tip of his tongue.
He just got released.
That was my answer.
He's limitless, and his name is Keith Lee. It's very easy. It's very simple. His name is Keith Lee. He has it. He does it. AEW could let him do exactly what he does. We're out of here. It's simple. Keith Lee. Keith not Bearcat Lee. Shout out.
So, let's talk about releases.
Yes.
Let's talk about them because there was a big number of them. WWE released, I believe, 17, possibly 18 people on Thursday. It had been rumored pretty much all week. And the only thing I had heard from somebody who would definitely be in the know was they said, because I told you guys, right, in our group chat, they said, pay attention to who wasn't on Raw this week was all I was told. And I thought, Karrion Kross and Keith Lee. That was what I said in our group chat. I was like, Karrion Kross and Keith Lee were not on Raw this week. And that could be a problem. And so, the grand list consisted of Grand Metalik, and Lindsey Dorado, Mia Yim, Eva Marie, Harry Smith, B-Fab, and that's just the main roster. And then over from NXT, you had Frankie Monet and Ember Moon, Scarlett, Oni Lorcan, Trey Baxter, Chessie Kamea.
Oh my God, that's a lineup.
Zeta Ramir, Katrina Cortez, and Jeet Rama. And a lot of those guys were just signed, like just months ago.
Like some of them are like 2 months. It's crazy.
Did I miss Nia Jax? Nia Jax was also on that list.
Nia's probably the biggest one, right? I think.
Yes. Yeah, I'd say so, considering she's
former women's champion and all that. Former tag team champ.
Just the most recent tag team champ.
Right.
And so there's a lot to kind of dissect here. But again, it was one of those things I was, like I said, kind of like spending the week anticipating because of the fact that who wasn't on Raw this week, and because that was what I was told. Just like look into who's not on Raw this week, and that should be your indicator as to what's going through the mind of the company and Vince. And so I guess that's why I wasn't surprised by a couple of them. But B-Fab was very surprising. B-Fab was surprising because I was not told anything about SmackDown, and she was literally on SmackDown last week. So that was like, what the hell? I didn't see that coming at all. And she, according to the news, didn't have a main roster contract upgrade. So she was released under the, I guess, under NXT pretenses. So she only has a 30-day non-compete. I have questions about all of the above, by the way. Because who exactly has NXT contracts now and who doesn't? I saw on the internal email they sent out that they had a list of NXT talent that's been released, and like Ember Moon is of course listed as NXT talent. Is she under an NXT contract or was she? I have no idea. Do you guys have the answers to that? Because
I'm not sure.
Because it is all the difference of, do we see them in 30 days or do we see them in 90 days?
Right.
Finn Balor returned to NXT, but he worked NXT entirely under a main roster contract the whole time he was there.
Right.
So
And
that's why.
Orny Lorcan on his, or Biff Busick said that he has 90 days. So things are different for everybody, it seems.
Yeah, so I'm curious what all of this means, because is Mandy Rose, is she a main roster contract or is she NXT? I can't see them suddenly downgrading her despite moving her.
Right.
So I don't know what that means, but I will say there's a lot of shockers here. Last week we had a big conversation about Keith Lee. I think everybody here made some great points.
Mm-hmm.
And
That was our first episode, wasn't it? When we talked about Keith Lee.
Yeah, but we also, just last week, we discussed how, because he had the match against the Hurt Business, and we were complaining about the fact that he, the first episode we talked about the Bearcat name.
You're right.
There's a lot of I told you so's we have to throw out there from that.
Yeah.
But last week we talked about how they've essentially removed all of the Keith Lee from Keith Lee. That he is coming out here, and when you think about how Keith Lee talked, about how Keith Lee walked, you look at his music, you look at his what he did in the ring, you look at his gear, all of that. They wanted no parts of that.
Nothing.
They wanted. I believe Reg's words last week was they wanted him to be Mark Henry.
Yep.
They wanted Mark Henry. Then they did.
They
not
wanted
want...
another strong man that bends frying pans in half.
Yes.
Yeah. So we'll get to the shits. We'll just go ahead and get to the shits.
Mm-hmm.
There were a lot of people on the internet trying to say that this was his idea. It came out yesterday. It was not his idea.
Mm-hmm.
And
he said it too. It wasn't like this is news that came out. He
said it. He said it on Instagram.
A big LOL at the end too, which makes it even better.
If you go all the way back to our first episode, I said in response to the Bearcat stuff and people saying that it was his idea, that we've got to wait for him to say it's his idea, because the thing is, if it is a tribute to Bearcat Wright and he did that, cool. Now, I had my suspicions from the beginning because, as I've said with the Apollo gimmick, you can't have both, right?
Right.
You cannot decide that you're going to do a gimmick that is proud of heritage and also make it a heel. Right. That is confusing to your audience, because half of your audience that is black wants to root for this guy because he's doing a tribute to a well-known, I don't know if I would say well-known, a historic black wrestler who was, the first recognized black world champion. And not just that, Bearcat was one of the first guys to, step over the line and continue to wrestle, in segregated shows. Like, he's one of the guys to kick that door down. So, he's a hero. Yep. And so to take that name and add it to a guy and make him a heel, I feel like that is something that a white person would do because they don't understand the history behind it. Exactly. And so that gets me to my second point. I saw a lot of people trying to educate the world of wrestling on Black history. And to that, I say a pox. Yes. I say a pox on thee. You cannot come in and assume things and then try to educate people. I knew who Bearcat Wright was. Yep. So I thought it was funny that I saw a lot of people copy and pasting, quotes about who he is and sharing his picture, and with the assumption that all wrestling fans didn't know who he was. And yes, most fans did not know who he was. But if you didn't know who he was, it don't fit here, bro. It don't fit. And it doesn't fit for the reasons I said. You cannot You cannot make a character that is proud of something that is Black heritage and make him a heel. It just doesn't work. It just, and I mean, even when you look at the symbolism that they went from, as Reg said, trying to get this Mark Henry-esque character, and Mark Henry was attempted to be called Silverback, was it not?
Yep. Mm-hmm.
This is another instance where WWE is trying to add this animal motif to a Black wrestler, and it went right under your noses while you were trying to educate us on Black history.
Yes. Bars on fucking bars, bro.
Bars.
Oh,
so
my
I'm
God.
just gonna say now, this is why I waited to see, and now we know. When you take this guy that could do anything, literally anything, he had the strength. He's a talker. He can move like a cruiserweight. He had great character. He had great charisma. He had great facial expressions. The guy is a star. He's a massive star.
He was confident.
He was confident. And you take this guy and you put constraints on him. That tells me you don't get him. And that tells me you don't get what he represented as an indie wrestler. And that's fine. I know everybody has to fit the WWE style. But when you serve that to us and then you allow your fan base to try to tell us, but it's for us, it's for the culture, because look, Bearcat.
All right.
It's not.
And you know, this is where we had the conversation last week. I said that WWE needs NXT 2.0 because NXT 2.0 is essentially going to be a wrestler factory. And they need to just be able to produce wrestlers from scratch, because I don't want to see them signing up indie guys anymore, guys that already have a little bit of buzz to them, and the only thing they need is a stage to show it on, and instead you want to transform them into something else. I don't want to see that no more.
All right.
And so I feel like NXT 2.0 is exactly what they need. They need to just be able to make guys that they want to make, how they want to make them, and leave guys alone from the indie scene that are making waves. Because, like I said, how could you possibly look at Keith Lee and decide anything else for him? You had to have never seen him before,
right?
And I heard this from a lot of guys, by the way, right? Because this seemed to just be the old wrestler head mentality, where guys like Jim Cornette, guys like Disco Inferno, had if I can throw my Disco Inferno impersonation out there, where it'd say, well, why does Keith Lee do this? Why does he? No, but he was like, why does he need to do this? He doesn't need to do flips. And like he would say the same, and people in the business say the same thing about Luchasaurus, right? And it's like, why is this big man doing these big man things, or not doing big man things? He needs to be wrestling like a big man. The same conversation should probably be had right now about Piper Niven, right? Because all of a sudden there was like, why isn't she wrestling like a big woman? She needs to just do big person things like that.
Right.
Like they just they want to box people in to what they think somebody like that should be. Like Keith Lee, like Limitless Keith Lee is, as Reg said last week, a gimmick in itself. That is the character. A man that size who can do anything. A man that size who is going to surprise you with I get his speaking ability, right? And it's like, no, we don't want any of that. We want him to come out and growl.
Right.
Fuck all that talking. He is gonna growl. He's gonna snarl, and he is going to do big man moves, and that's it.
That's it.
Yeah,
Correct.
They had a view for him, and they wanted him boxed into that. And like the second that started happening, I was ready for Keith Lee to move on.
Right.
And
writing was on the wall pretty immediately.
Yeah.
As soon as they took his theme song away, you were like, all right, I see what's going on here. They put him in a weird skirt. It's like, all right, I see what's going on here. It just kept getting worse and worse.
Yeah, it was clear he was not what they wanted.
Right.
Which was so bizarre because, like, then why'd you call him up? Especially when you did. He was only NXT champion for what, like 2 weeks?
Right.
And
I got to take on that as well.
Okay.
I feel like
let's get to these super chats, and I want to hear that take. So Marco said, "Give me Keith Lee double pouncing the Bucks off the stage on his debut, please."
Yeah.
It'd be great.
Please.
Darian said, "Most underrated R&B group is Intro. Come Inside is that gas." We also had Jay Shell saying, "All horrible, but B-Fab floored me. So disappointed."
That was just.
Yeah,
I don't get it.
Rob said, "Editing out B-Fab from Hit Row's music immediately made it another generic entrance theme." And
apply everything we just said about Keith Lee to Hit Row. That's simple as that.
Our friend Monica says, "He ain't no damn Bearcat. Keith Lee is my future AEW champ. I need an AEW version of Bask in His Glory. Also, I want Ember Athena in AEW. I need to see Athena versus Shida." You mean again? Because we did see that in Shimmer 7 years ago. So look it up, by the way. It's on their YouTube channel.
But imagine what they could do now.
I know, right? Athena versus Hikaru Shida did happen. And then we had Stella Justin Lopez says he went ham on that Bearcat roar he let out a few weeks ago. Was just cringe. It was almost as bad as that Brock scream from years ago.
Because they were like, "We need you to let out a big growl at the top of the." No, God, come on, dude. What is this? He's not an actual bear. You don't even get the tribute at this point.
And he also said, once Vince saw Odyssey Jones and had him start working dark matches, I had a feeling Keith would become expendable sooner than later.
Yep. Great point, because that's exactly, they're like, well, we have this one. He's younger. He's this. We can make him into Mark Henry because we got him from the jump. Here we go. We don't need Keith Lee.
Honestly, there isn't necessarily any harm in bringing in guys and making them what you want from jump.
Right. Yes.
You know, if that's your MO and that's how you want to develop guys. But like I said, what I want to see stop is bringing in indie guys and beating their presence out of them. Done with that. Like, honestly, and WWE should be done with it too. I think that because like there was obviously a disconnect. You know, Hunter was going around to the indies. Hunter and William Regal were going around to the indies. They were scouting indie shows. They were seeing these guys that they clearly liked and clearly wanted. And then they'd bring them into NXT, refine them a little bit, and then send them to the main roster. Where Vince, who wasn't scouting, and Kevin Dunn and most recently now Bruce Pritchard again, we're seeing these guys that they weren't scouting, and we're like, no, we don't want any of this. This isn't what we wanted. We weren't looking.
Well,
for
what's
this.
their gimmick?
Yeah, and so to me, I feel like I want to see going forward more indie guys being like ultimately right now. And again, this isn't shilling for AEW. This is simply AEW doing more of what I want to see in this regard.
Right.
I feel like AEW has now become kind of the destination for indie guys. If you want to essentially play your music and just play it on a bigger stage, that's the place to go now. Because right now, WWE isn't really interested in that anymore. And they've made it very clear that that's not what they're interested in, that they're interested in kind of making guys from scratch. And you know what? If Braun Breaker's successful, then good on them. Then they have done what they wanted to do. If Odyssey Jones, if we do see more of I don't know, like if Carmelo Hayes, and granted, you know, he had an indie presence though. It's if they are able though to essentially create the guys that they want to create, I think they will have a better path for their vision. But at this point, then leave the indies alone.
Just go all 100% in WWE. Just do it. Just go.
Don't raid the indies anymore.
Yeah, no, just do your thing.
Don't do it.
Create your machine. Keep putting out these box of gimmicks and just let it happen. Don't try don't try to invade the indies. Don't try to be anybody else. Just be you. Live in your filth, and we won't watch
Live in your filth. Yo. Yeah, so the other part, I feel like we have to talk about how he left NXT.
Yeah.
I was told at the time, because I will never forget this night, I was watching Black Wrestlers Matter that night. I decided not to watch TakeOver. And I remember I was watching it, and I was keeping up with what was going on that takeover. And that was the night that Keith Lee lost the championship. And I said, and I tweeted out, "Hey man, if y'all want to watch something else, y'all don't have to watch that. Watch Black Wrestlers Matter, because that company keeps telling y'all they love us, but they keep doing the same thing." And so I got a lot of hate for that. And I got, oh man, you don't know what this means for him. He could go somewhere
Let
to the
it
main
play
roster.
out.
And look who's the funny thing about the whole thing is look who beat him and look what they did to that guy. It's just like, oh my God.
It was clear to me from day one that this thing, the way he lost, it proved that putting both titles on him at Great American Bash was a ploy.
It was.
It was a ploy to get people to watch and not watch what was on the other channel.
Yeah,
it was clearly a ploy. And they had no plans for him moving forward after they put both titles on him. That was clear as day. And so when I saw it again, when they took the titles off of him, I was like, fool me once. You don't have a plan for him. It's very clear. And I said that on Twitter. Again, I'm negative. So we get to the main roster. Look, he's in a match with Randy. Okay, but what is the plan? After he beats Randy, is he going to be in a world title picture? No, he beat Randy, and Randy got a title shot.
Right. Come on, man.
And I said again,
come on,
there's no plan for him. Look at it. Nah, you got to let it play out, because going to the main roster is an upgrade, and being in a feud with Randy is an upgrade. Stop telling us that being on Raw is an upgrade. It isn't. Nah. Stop telling us that putting you in a feud with Orton just because Orton is a star means that it's specifically a rub. It's a rub if it's a plan to go somewhere from that. Just putting him in the ring with him is not a rub.
Yeah. Yo, Phil's the new -1. Watch out, the Dark Order, homie. You're the one, the new -1. We out here, baby.
This is why I said at the time, I tweeted merely when I saw its release, let it play out.
I mean, because we were told that a lot when it came to Keith Lee. So
and Karrion Kross, even on the opposite end, he got beat by Jeff Hardy, and they were like, "Hey, it's not that bad. He's the NXT champ." No, it's bad.
So one of the questions that we get asked a lot about, one of the questions we get asked a lot about is black wrestlers in AEW, because it's a big topic in pretty much everywhere you look, and some people have even made a grift out of it. But the thing is, I will say that a big observation I've made on that topic, and why I haven't necessarily been as I guess bullish on the topic as I am when it comes to WWE and black wrestlers, is because I have looked at it from the perspective of where people are and where they can be. So like, this wasn't a topic that sprung up recently, by the way. This was a topic that's been going on pretty much since AEW's launch. When AEW first came about and all their roster was announced, a lot of people looked at that and went, ooh, that's like a really white roster. And the question was then posed of, are they going to have any like black main eventers? To which my response to that was, who at the moment is available and ready-made the same way that a Cody is, the same way that a Kenny Omega is, the same way that Jon Moxley is, the same way Chris Jericho is. Because whoever it is, sign him. But at the moment, I don't know who that is at the moment. And because I'm not here for tokenism. I'm not here to simply to see somebody fill a stat. I want to see a star get there. So there's a lot of benefit of the doubt I've been willing to give to the idea that who is ready-made for that the way so many guys are. With all of that said now, the answer to that is Keith Lee to me. Keith Lee is somebody who I feel is ready-made for that spot. Somebody that I do feel is the equivalent of a Kenny Omega when Kenny was first signed into AEW, and as recognizable of a name, and somebody who you don't have to tweak, you don't have to get ready. Like, you can bring in ready-made main eventer, top spot. So when Red...
Oh, so you know what? This is supreme disrespect to Ricky Starks. I'm very sorry. It's you, Ricky Starks. You're the one, dude. You're the man. You're the first black AEW champion. I think I put the rocket on Ricky Stark's back tonight if they knew it was good for him. That guy can talk.
Like I said, Ricky
like
Starks.
no
I
one-
think
no.
Ricky Starks is a phenomenal talent, and I think that he will probably be the one to get there. Like if AEW respects any sense of their own hierarchy of like, hey, we should probably push guys who've been with this company longer and put in the work, then yeah, Ricky Starks is the guy. Because I don't necessarily feel like Ricky Starks was a ready-made guy when he came in. I think Ricky Starks was a solid talent that when he came in, it was like, oh shit, like he turned a lot of heads, but he didn't necessarily have the buzz the way that like Keith Lee is going to come in and he's going to get a roaring pop. People are going to cheer. They're going to know all of his stuff. Even if he hasn't done any of it in a year and a half because he's been away from NXT for so long. But he's going to come in and everybody's going to know his stuff. He is just going to come off in the same way that Adam Cole did. Adam Cole came in ready-made, right? He came in with all the catchphrases. People saw his name on the Tron. They lost it. They knew all of his stuff. Ready-made dude. I feel like Keith Lee is that now. And he is the guy you can finally do that with. And then also on the women's side, Ember Moon is that. Ember Moon is very much that person that can come in. And I don't know how you got it wrong with her for so long. She was called up in 2018? And granted she had some injuries, but it's not like you were doing anything with her before it. So she was one that I felt was missed, was a missed opportunity. And now she's cut. And we're going to see what you can do with her going forward. But I feel there's a lot that can be done. And again, she's a ready-made person.
And I think even beyond that, I don't even think she has to immediately go into AEW just because the women's wrestling out now is so great and there's so many great promotions that like she could go to a ton of places and have so many great opponents. It's like it's crazy. It's a lot.
I'm just gonna put this in the air because I want to see it at this point. We need to see Ember versus Trish Adora.
Oh my
for
God.
the Pan African Championship.
Sign it.
Do it.
Drop it.
Seal it. Yeah.
Do it.
Main event
we need to see this
all
match.
over the world.
We need to see
need
this
it.
match.
I need it.
And
bad.
so, I agree with you on Keith Lee. I feel like he's a guy that's ready-made. And I also feel like AEW is at a point where they have options. I mean, like Reg said, Ricky Starks is right there. You could easily elevate this guy eventually and make him world champion. Leo's there. I feel like Lee Moriarty is a longer term plan, but I feel like he could eventually get there and be world champion.
Yeah, Leo is actually one too that I think
Leo's also one
with some heat like on him, he could get there pretty quickly.
I don't think we should overlook the story of Scorpio being the first black male to sign with the company, and he could eventually get there as well. They've got options. And again, there's guys that just got out there, whether that be for Ring of Honor or through WWE with Keith Lee, that they can sign.
Right.
And so I feel like
Jonathan Gresham is out there in the world now. Shit, like
so I feel like at this point it's a put up or shut up moment for AEW.
And this is how I feel it is too. So to address what's being said in the chat, so CJP said, I don't feel AEW should get the benefit of the doubt and should get the criticism. AEW has a lot of black talent and shotgunning Keith Lee feels off. So here's the thing. This is why I feel like it's put up or shut up time, because I don't really feel like there's really anybody else who, like when I look at the program as a whole, whether it is, no matter who it is on the roster, I don't necessarily feel like there's really anybody who they've only had the 3 world champions and all of them came in ready-made. Chris Jericho, are you kidding me? Came in with a 20-year ready-made career. John Moxley, it was a former WWE champion. He's like their biggest draw. And he headlined WWE for years. Came in, ready-made guy. Kenny Omega, I do feel, was mostly ready-made. I would say when he came in, he was like 75% of the way there. And they did pretty much the rest of the work to get him there. But otherwise, they haven't done that for anybody else. Hangman Adam Page is about to be the first person they've done that with. But otherwise, there hasn't been a whole lot of take somebody from nothing and make them into something kind of things. And so when I'm talking about somebody ready-made, I'm specifically referring to somebody who fits the same mold that fits their white counterparts. And when I look at somebody who fits the mold of like what Kenny Omega's done, I think to me, Keith Lee is that guy. Now, I'm not saying, because I said this last week, I do not believe anybody in any company ever, no matter who you are, don't bring anybody in and make them world champion. That sucks, and it undermines everything that you've been doing in your program previously. Don't ever do that. I would not say drop Keith Lee in and make him champ. But I do think drop Keith Lee in and have him go on a tear. That's what I would do. Personally, I would say debut at Revolution, which is in February. We're 3 months away, 90 days. Bring him in at Revolution. Give him
Black History Month.
Yeah, and bring him in and put him though up against some of the top tier guys. Have him.
Yeah, he should just come in with the Kurt Franklin behind him. Do you want a revolution?
Yeah.
Do you want a revolution?
Because I've seen people toss out the idea of like, how amazing of a debut would it be, and a callback to people who love that kind of stuff is like Adam Cole just like on the stage, and all of a sudden off screen just gets like pounced into the crowd and it's just like, oh shit, Keith Lee's back. And then you could start there. But there's a lot of top guys you could start with. You could do him and Miro. There's places you can go. Like, I'm not saying just drop him in and like immediately make him champion, but I am saying that he is a ready-made guy, and he is one that, and not even necessarily ready-made because of WWE, because that's the criticism that's going to fall is they're going to say ready-made, or they're going to say pushing another WWE guy. But like, that only
He's
applies
not
to
a
me.
WWE guy.
That only applies to me if you bring him in as Bearcat, growling and wearing a singlet. And
if they say that Keith Lee is a WWE guy, I'm going to go off. He is not a WWE guy.
I want Keith Lee to come straight in wherever he goes next with the same kind of tank top singlet that they had him in, and just like rip it off and just, like, go wild and just come on, man.
Like, because honestly, like, that dude, I think about that Survivor Series 2019 moment with him and Roman and the fist bump, and how strong they made him look. But again, that wasn't Vince's vision. That was Hunter's vision. Right. And
we'll always have that visual of Brock Lesnar in the Royal Rumble. Keith Lee's coming out, and Brock's like, "Oh, big boy." I love that. I love that.
Yeah, I love that. No, I feel like there's so much potential for him, and the sky is the limit. Or better yet, he's limitless.
You got it. I see.
That said, looking at the other releases, I think that I do want to see. Like,
Karrion Kross is probably going to be back in Impact, I think.
You think so? After the way he left there?
Oh yeah. People be burning bridges. They think that they're going to be in WWE forever. You got to remember, man, WWE might not like you.
I don't see him going back to Impact.
Sheesh.
So what was interesting was Zeta, and how, like, she was signed just earlier this year, and I would like to see her have a bit of a Ty Conti like run in that. Ty needed. She came in and you could see all the tools were there, but she still needed some refinement. And NXT gave her a very short opportunity to do so, and she ended up leaving because she had asked for her release, and then eventually she got it when she was part of those releases, and she ended up going over to AEW, where she did refine herself on Dark and work her way up, and all of a sudden people were like, wait, Ty Conti can go, and now she is challenging for the world title.
Right.
With that said, I would like to see that from Zeta. She only has, I think, in total 30-something matches to her entire career.
Yeah.
So there's time.
She's Texas. Yeah. So, and their wrestling scene is on fire. So she'll go back to Texas. She'll work with probably Reality of Wrestling again. New Texas
that's where she
Pro.
trained out of, right?
Yeah.
Okay.
So there's all these Texas places that she's just gonna go and keep refining the style, keep getting her name out here. Same thing as Ember Moon. There's all these women promotions, all these women that she'll have to take on and just grow. So it's gonna work out better for her. Also, she has that crazy shooting star press. Shout out to AQA, she's dope.
Yeah, and I love her shooting star. And that was the first time I had ever seen her was the compilation of her shooting star.
Yeah.
And I was like, you know what? That's somebody that I could see doing good things. And like Katrina Cortez, she's only what 21. Plenty of time as far as she's concerned.
A lot of these people were pretty young, so it's there's time. There's time.
Yeah. Now, of course, there's the story coming out that WWE no longer wants to hire women under or over the age of 25.
Oh,
which is like,
which I mean, yeah, and AQA was 23, right?
yeah.
So
Yeah.
I don't understand why they released her. I felt like she fit what they wanted.
Right.
She was young, she was malleable. I don't get it. That was a head scratcher for me.
B-Fab's really young too, isn't she? Like all these, no one's. It feels like not too many of them were over 25 that they let go.
Well, we of course have to talk about Taya, because Taya is well over 25.
Yeah.
Some of the stuff that was tweeted at her over the last few days was pretty gross.
It's crazy.
And it was kind of in line with what Mickie James was saying, how they just act like women's careers are over,
after 35.
Right.
After 35.
It's just like real life.
Yeah,
Same
which
thing
is
applied to
crazy
wrestling.
because you still got Asuka on that roster, and she's 40, and she's one of the best wrestlers on the brand.
Shayna Baszler too.
Yeah, you've got several wrestlers that can still go in their 40s. I mean, and I think Mickie has proved everybody wrong in the run that she's been on recently. So yeah, I never quite understood putting Taya on NXT in the first place because she came in with legacy as an Impact champion.
Bro, put her with her husband and let them do their thing.
Yeah, I mean,
what are you guys doing?
Yeah, she came in with an established name. She came in with a wealth of experience. She didn't need developmental. You could have put her straight on the main roster.
Right.
And so to try to repackage her and do all this other stuff, and she did everything you asked her to do.
And she was doing it well too. Like I don't know what happened.
Yeah, uprooted and moved there, and then to just give her whatever 9 matches or whatever the stat is over the last few months, and then just boot her out the door. I thought that was horrible.
Baffled.
Yeah. And the 25-year directive, I wouldn't have such a problem with if it applied to everybody, if it was men too.
Right.
Because
because that's gross if it's just for women. God.
If you are doing if you are essentially trying to build a wrestler factory, then I could absolutely see, okay, we want to start all of our wrestlers from scratch, so therefore we want to start them all under 25. Fine. Whatever. But if it's just women that you're doing that with,
if it's just women, you guys are disgusting. You are terrible.
Yeah.
Awful.
Because here's the thing. Because also, I don't, that's kind of wrong. In general, all across the board. We recognize how wrong it is for women, but even historically, WWE, you've gotten stars out of guys who started late.
Dude, your main star for a long time was a bald man, and not I'm bald on purpose. Like I lost my hair bald. Like what are you guys talking about?
Or
every star you've had has been over 30 years old.
Like Batista broke into the business late, right? Like he didn't even start training until he was I want to say he won his first title at 35, so that means he's started training at 30. Which is considered late for getting started in pro wrestling.
Right.
But at the same time, one could argue, and by one I mean I, would argue that Batista is the second biggest star out of Evolution. And the first is Ric Flair. I feel like Batista being Drax and being such a star and being everywhere in you look across movies, the fact that he's got solo movies, the fact that he had Stuber and he's got my kids love watching what was the one that he had on Amazon, My Spy. I think Batista is a massive star. You got a massive star to somebody who started late. But DDP also started late. Like, you can start whenever if you're the right guy. I think Maxwell went on a post about this recently. He talked about Maxwell Baumbach. He talked about how wrestler age is way worse than actual age. That, you know, look at if you were just a WWE viewer, forget about their actual ages. Who is older to you, Randy Orton or AJ Styles? Like, the answer is Randy Orton, right? Yeah, Randy Orton. Forget about who's actually older. It is way worse to have guys who've just been on TV for 20 years who are just stale. And Randy Orton started when he was, 22? So, like, he came in super young, but he's been on TV for 20 years. Like, he's way older than anybody. Your TV age is way worse than anything else you could have going for you. I'd say if you're a fresh gimmick, if you're a fresh talent, who cares about any of that other stuff?
It doesn't matter.
Yeah, none of that matters. Hey, we got a bunch of super chats, though, we got to read. In which Knock Bogan says, wanted to stop by while you're live to tell you guys that this show is a highlight of my Saturday night. Okay.
Night. Yeah, that's interesting.
So where are you from? Been looking forward to what you guys had to say about the releases. Dang shame. Thank you. I've been looking forward to talking about it.
Huge sigh, really. Man. Yeah. Right.
Yeah. Ryan said, I'm with Reg on Starks. He's one of my favorites. He is the total package.
Ricky Starks, baby.
AT says Jay Lethal is the one.
He has some baggage, though.
Yeah.
I'm gonna disagree on that one, man.
Yeah, he has some baggage.
Jay Shell updated us saying Lindsey bought Izzy's dad a ticket in a parking pass.
Oh my god!
He also is off Twitter now. If I saw correctly, he took his Twitter account down.
Who did?
Izzy's dad?
Izzy's dad.
Oh yeah, he's scared. I would.
Honestly,
race it off.
Golden Link said he was gonna put hands on him, and
Link said pull up, bro.
I would buy him the Uber too.
That's hard, yeah, for real. Look, I got you a sandwich inside the Uber. Look, I want you to be comfortable on the way to.
Let this be a lesson, though. Stop playing with people on the internet.
Stop playing.
Somebody will make time for you. Somebody will make time.
Yes.
Stop playing.
Stop playing. This ain't a game out here. So, to some, this isn't a game. This is his real life. He got cut, and you're trying to make a joke. Another thing, you guys need to stop being so comfortable with these wrestlers just because they're accessible to you on Twitter, just because they talk to you. You can't say and do anything you want to these people because they're real people. And sometimes it's going to be too much. And sometimes they're going to buy you a ticket to come get your ass beat. So, proceed with caution.
And let's see, we got you can just call me Miss. Okay, good, because I wasn't going to try to read all that. LOL. Anyway, love how people say there's no room for politics in wrestling when, come on, how else will women and people of color get ahead?
You got to politic. There's no way. If it wasn't for politicking, Brian Danielson would have never been WWE champion. They didn't care at all. It's like the fans had to force them to care about fucking Brian Danielson. Can you believe this?
Brian pushed hard for Kofi, man. And part of why we got Kofi Mania.
Exactly.
Yeah. And hey, shout out to everybody who's here in the chat and everybody who's watching live. I always very much appreciate it. And hey, leave us a thumbs up. And thank you everybody for the super chats. And of course I say that as if I'm wrapping up, but we got a few more minutes in which we can continue to read some other things. We'll go back to let's
Twitter.
see. Yeah, going back to Twitter. I'm scrolling through. Let's see. Favorite ROH memories or matches?
Of course, the Samoa Joe Punk feud. That's up there.
Oh, killed it.
His stuff with Chris Hero is also up there.
One of my favorite matches I watched so many times is Low Key versus Kenta. Oh my god, I've seen that match. I think it's from Final Battle 2005. Kenta came in and had a run. He wrestled Bryan Danielson also. Like, oh my god, so many great memories.
That is the match that put Kenta on the map in the US. That's what got him signed with WWE. So of course, like the Nigel stuff, the Danielson stuff.
Right. The Briscoes against AJ Styles and Amazing Red, one of the best matches ever. That's in like 2003.
The Cody title reign where he had people kissing the ring literally. I feel like that's some of the best stuff Cody's done in his career.
Kevin Steen against real life against Jim Cornette turned into an angle, and him showing up at the shows with the fans outside and cutting promos. Amazing work. The matches with him and Generico against Briscoes and American Wolves, and just ROH has had a crazy amount of great wrestling over there. 20 years worth of tapes that we're still trying to see who's going to buy that, you know?
Yep. Next year should be the 20th anniversary.
Mm-hmm.
And holy moly, we just got hit with a whole bunch of super chats. Let's see. We got this one again. Knock says, man, I'm so tired. I put night down twice. Whoops. I worked third shift and saved this video till then. Good old USA. At least Keith can be limitless again.
Hey.
And we
he
got
can rap his own theme, all kind of stuff.
Jay Shell says, random question. Do you think WWE would do Carmelo right on the main roster? I love that man, but I'm scared. I think he has the benefit of NXT 2.0, that he is at least getting to develop in their vision rather than develop in the previous one and then have to be reworked.
Let me ask you a question. What do you guys think they're going to do with Swerve? Because apply the exact same thing to Carmelo.
Well, I will say this. NXT 2.0 has only been around for a little bit over a month. We got to give it enough time for them to reestablish the call-up, because the call-up has, been devalued so much.
Right. We haven't seen an NXT 2.0
We have to see how NXT 2.0 is going to develop guys and move them over. So, that's kind of a tough question to answer.
Like, are they more connected with, like, is it going to be like, will they get to the main roster and they're like, nope, forget everything again, we're starting from scratch? Or is it going to be like they're continuing these 2.0 gimmicks? Right.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I don't know. The question on Swerve, that's a toughie because obviously that's somebody I know. What do I think is going to happen? I don't know, honestly. I can't answer that because I think that Hit Row is obviously is missing a solid piece of the act, and I guess it all depends on how all of that recovers. It's clear that they want to do them in the New Day. That's actually really cool.
Yeah.
Although, did they even address that this week? Because they were messing with Sami Zayn this week.
Nope.
Long-term planning.
Hey, it looks like they are moving on to the Bloodline New Day stuff, and I don't know where that leaves Hit Row.
Yeah. Jester says, hate hearing, how dare you use the same way we made it to get ahead. Thank you. And we got Dante says, talk that trash, and Dana Brooks' boyfriend will be.
I'm saying straight up, yo,
man.
No, you can't talk that trash to everybody.
Yeah, come on, man.
You cannot.
Don't play with people on the internet.
Either I'm gonna buy you a ticket to come see me, or I'm gonna just come see you. It's simple as that.
I've said this online before because I see some people say pull up and use words like that. And to me, in the real world, where real world has real consequences, and I don't play with stuff like that. I don't play with stuff like run the fade and get these hands. I don't play with that because there's serious implications behind that. And you say that to the wrong person, somebody will show up and give you what you're asking for.
Exactly.
So don't play with stuff like that.
No. So Monica clarified. She said, I just want to clarify my earlier chat. I don't want Keith to come in and go straight to the top. I want to see him work his way up like Danielson is doing. And that's what I'm saying too. I see Hobbs as a future champ as well.
Oh, yes. Thanks for shouting out Big Hobbs, of course. My boy. He's out there, man. He's going to keep working his way up. And he's going to be world champ one day. They ain't going to stop him.
And let's see. Shout out to the Blacks.
Chris.
Shout out to big homie Chris, man. And
this Chris podcast. Last time. The Blacks. You are funny.
The Blacks.
NWA podcast, man. Those are the
shout out to those guys, man. I will be on an episode next weekend. Look out for that. With the homie Andrew Thompson, who will also be here. We're taking over. We're everywhere.
The takeover. I got to get on a podcast. Oh, I'm going to be on a podcast too next week. Oh, what's up, man? It's Grapsody. We out here. We are all over the place.
I'll be on.
I just recorded.
I guess I'll announce it here, but this Tuesday I'll be on. We're live, pal, on Wrestling Observer. So that'll be on Tuesday with Andrew Zarian and Denise Salcedo. And then so we got our stuff going on this week.
I'm gonna be on the PWI podcast. I think it's Indie, the one with Kevin and Kaya. It's gonna be cool. I talked about Grapsody because we are everywhere and we're gonna be more places. So get used to it.
Get used to it. Get used to trying to glom off of our energy.
Just let me get a crumb. Let me get a crumb.
Rob's favorite question. He says, "Who has the best flatliner, R-Truth or Shelton Benjamin?" Shelton. Yeah. The Shelton, he got hang time.
Yeah,
with
Shelton.
I will give a shout out to a no-namer, and that's JDX from the city of Chicago. Cool independent wrestler. He does that running flatliner that he did recently on Dark that looks awesome. Sign JDX, guys. He's awesome.
I'm also going to give it up to another independent wrestler, Jaden, who does an outside the ring to the inside flatliner. Give it up, man. We out here. The flatliner is some shout out to Canyon Mortis for bringing it to the American soil, and it's been forever.
Let's see. Jason asks, do you think Jason Clay, I want to give full shout out, said, do you think Triple H will leave WWE to make his own company or try to buy Ring of Honor?
I wouldn't think so.
I mean, I don't know what he's doing right now. I don't know what he's doing right now because, it's very clear he has a vision for what he wants to see pro wrestling, and it is not what he the talk was, of course, that he's still involved with NXT 2.0, but I mean, it is night and day from what
it don't look like
he originally created. And the thing is, Triple H's vision for pro wrestling is Ring of Honor, right? NXT was
essentially
was Ring of Honor with the budget,
right?
And so that is why I could see that if I don't know. I can't pretend
his
to
wife,
I guess
though, it's just so hard for him to be like, all right, I'm gonna go. I'm leaving. See you later, man.
He's put too much equity in being a WWE guy, and that's as a performer. As a person, he's just too connected. He's a part of the family. He's just too connected.
He's weaved in there.
That said, I could never see Hunter competing. So people
that's what I mean.
When people say I could see Hunter going to AEW, not a chance. But if Hunter wanted to produce a super indie that doesn't compete,
I think maybe
with WWE,
he'd be like, hey, I'm gonna give me a show over here. It's not gonna be doing anything with the Raw with what y'all got, but I'm gonna do my thing over here at the most. But I think Stephanie's gonna get the company, and it's all good.
But he's never gonna be direct competition. He's too connected for that.
Yeah, I wouldn't see him being competition, but like I said, I could see him if his vision for NXT is what it was. And he no longer has that. I could see him producing.
I mean, also never say never. It's wrestling.
Yeah, that's true.
I feel like pro wrestling.
I feel like
be yo, you're out.
I just feel like that'd be a huge betrayal to the McMahons in some way to just create something separate and make it direct competition. I don't think
maybe he'll do that. He'll find a woman. He'll take her to Las Vegas. He'll drive up to he'll be drunk. It'll be an accident. He'll get married. I don't know.
I picture him coming back to NXT, kind of like when Hove came back to the Rockefeller office, and all of a sudden Cam was there, and he heard the verse of "Shout out to Cam for taking over the Rock," and he's just kind of looking around like, "What is going on here? These guys are in a broom closet pretending it's an office. Dame is now saying he's part of the board. He's in meetings now. What is happening here, man?"
Right. And I also shout out to him. I don't know, he had that health scare. Hopefully, he's doing well. Shout out to him.
So last question I think we could take, and I love this question because this brings back some memories. It's from Andrew Henderson. Andrew asks, what's your opinion on No Limit's attempt to get involved with wrestling in WCW? What went wrong? And do you think it had potential to work if managed differently? I love WCW and love old No Limit records, so the idea of it excited me even if it didn't work. All right, let me tell you. So it kind of came at slightly the wrong time because No Limit had some great years in there, right? Like 96 to about 98, No
Yeah.
Limit was on top.
Hot
You want
fire.
like I remember I used to get those No Limit albums and just like open them up just to see the upcoming ones and like
Right.
remember Pen and Pixel would like make them album covers.
This fool had
that,
a
like,
roster just
yeah, for albums that like weren't actually coming out, right? Like there was some of those albums like didn't actually exist. They just like made the covers.
It'd be like Cain and Abel. Brothers.
Cain and Abel though, but there
Money.
was like the 504 Boys, like all of that stuff. Yeah, and we were ready for all of it.
But
Limit
yeah,
had some
it was
great years in there.
Cash Money's time.
But yeah, by the
they
time
hit.
that happened, Cash Money was Army.
Yeah.
And Cash
Money
Money
the
was,
Navy.
yeah,
Right.
Cash Money was on top. It was all about Cash Money at that point. Because I remember right around that same point. Do you remember when Master P came out with that Bling Bling knockoff? Where like they had Bling Bling and Cash and Master P had the ice on my wrist, shine like a light. I can brighten up your day even at night. And it was like, come on, man.
Wait, this sound kind of heat like that though.
It was like, come on, man. Like Bling Bling's already a thing.
Bling Bling is
a hit.
destroying the world, man.
Yeah,
You can't compete with that.
can't, Master P. Anyway, so it didn't help that by the time the No Limit Soldiers came into WCW, like Cash Money had already like knocked them off.
Right.
Like nobody really cared. But at the same time, like Hootie Hoo had just come out too. So
Hootie
like
Hoo was pretty dope.
Yeah, Hootie Hoo was like that was my shit too. So there was a little bit of potential, but also did they only actually make one appearance and everybody else was just like appearing representing No Limit?
Right,
but,
and
like,
it was no
Master
one from
P-
the real No Limit. So
Yeah.
it's like, if you know about No Limit, you know, like, this isn't what I want. I want to see Silk the Shocker out there getting powerbomb, bro.
Like I tuned into that live too because like I remember when they advertised them like, oh my god, so the Shocker is on. Because remember when like the West Texas Rednecks came out and gave him the hat and he's like, this is what I always wanted. And then like I remember that segment like back of my hand.
Right.
Because like honestly, the feud with the West Texas Rednecks, and of course that's where Rap is Crap came from, and then which is so weird because like that was Kurt Hennig, right? Like that was Kurt Hennig and Bobby Duncombe Jr. And
They
all
didn't. No Limit didn't have any rappers to compete. Master P was never there, so it was just West Texas Rednecks talking about some wrestlers who don't even rap.
Yeah. So like the potential was there for a mainstream crossover, but it didn't work.
It didn't work.
Yeah.
Wrong
But
time. Wrong time.
Wrong time.
If it was a year earlier, 2 years earlier, it would have worked.
A year earlier,
perfectly.
man,
Yeah,
make
it
them
would've
say,
been great.
Are you
Yeah.
kidding me? Yeah,
It would have been perfect.
Man, they just come straight down the ramp on the gold tank. Like, come
Yeah,
on,
for real.
If they had come out to that, are you kidding?
That would have been
Had the
hard,
audience
see?
going crazy and like
Yeah.
everything from the video, man.
Mystical
WCW
comes in and does a Hurricane Rana, it would have been lit. I'm telling you, man, it would have been fire. That's what we wanted. We wanted Mystical to do a Hurricane Rana, but they just didn't give it to us.
And last question, super chat from Drew. He says, what did you guys think of that line in Caster's rap last night?
he smoked that.
I liked it. I liked it.
He
I
smoked
liked
that.
it. He said, your father-in-law.
Yeah, Eddie Career's Fast and
Scorched
father-in-law.
his,
Yeah,
oh my God.
that was a good
That was one of
one.
the best Max Caster ones I had
Man,
heard.
you
I was
gotta-
like, okay.
You gotta give Max his credit. When he hits a line, he hits a line. Like he's had lines where he's killed it. Like when he hit the Renee line, that line hit. Like when his lines hit, they hit.
Right. And this one hit.
Yeah. And I don't know. He's another one that I'm just like happy for and seeing him.
Anthony Bowen, that Brian
shout out
Danielson
Bowen.
match.
Yeah.
Ooh-wee. Anthony Bowens could really go. I think it gets lost in the shuffle of like the raps and the acclaim stuff, but Anthony Bowens can go. He's a great wrestler, man. He can. The bell rings. It's time. It's fire. And Brian Danielson, always.
Yeah,
Brian Danielson is.
And the thing I don't think people give Bowen enough credit on, and AEW really, is that when we say representation a lot of times, they don't sign a lot of black wrestlers as is, but they don't also sign a lot of black gay wrestlers. And to sign two black gay wrestlers that are totally different, like him and Sonny are not even close to the similar at all.
Right.
And so to sign two black wrestlers that are gay and let them do two different gimmicks, and
Mhm.
you can complain about this one's not on TV or that one's not on TV. But I just think it says a lot. I think that it's a step forward in some ways. Of course, I don't want to sit here and say, oh well, give them all the brownie points.
Right.
Definitely could do more, but I feel like that's a step forward, and more companies should be trying to do the same thing.
And they don't talk about the Acclaim when we talk about representation and
No, they
diversity.
don't.
Like that's two black men that are, representing a different side of blackdom. So, like got to give it up to the Acclaim, man. You got a rapper, you got a talented premier athlete in Anthony Bowens that could do some amazing things that he still hasn't done everything that he does. So
I've seen
No.
people try to deny that Max Caster is black as if his dad isn't Rich Caster.
Yeah.
And I'm like, yeah, because
kinda
I've
weird.
seen people who are like, no, he's not black. And it's like, yeah,
What?
he is. Like, are you kidding me? His dad is Rich Caster, former NFL player.
like what?
That's
What are
weird.
y'all talking about?
He's definitely black. I don't get that.
I have seen conversations about it, and it like kind of bugs me that that's a thing that bugs me. Anyway, so that's it. We've reached the end of this week's Grapsody. Come back next week at our normal time
Hey,
of noon Eastern, 9 a.m. Pacific. We are going to be here at youtube.com/Fightful.
Well, we are gonna be here. Me and Phil are gonna be here.
Yeah.
Will be
the biggest
here
star on the
still.
show will be here too. No, I'm just playing.
Come back for -1. He's gonna light you up. He's gonna light some more
I'm
fools up
just
next
playing,
week.
man. But I just would like to close the show with this and say, listen, give people their flowers where they're here to accept them. Try to be as humble as possible, even though I have made this joke all show of not being humble.
Right.
And just treat people better. Like I feel like a lot of people on Twitter, treat people pretty horribly under the guise of nothing will ever happen to me. Treat people well. And
Easy.
if people don't treat you well, never be afraid to ask for your apology.
Yeah.
Demand an apology when you're owed an apology.
Yep.
Exactly.
Simple as
CM
that.
Punk.
You see my eyes? You see this? I'm serious.
Yep.
Demand
Come
an
out here, Eddie
apology
Kingston. Give me my
when you're owed
apology.
it.
CM Punk brought that energy, just like you said, Will.
Yep. And
I don't know if that was the right thing to do because he got scorched, but it's all good.
Shout out Andrew.
Going on.
And
Appreciate you.
thank you for being a part of another edition of Grapsody. I'm Will Washington. He's Philip Lindsey, and he is Righteous Reg. We will see you next time. Have a great day. Peace.